Boy, there are so many things I want to talk about because everything you said is exactly correct. I mean, we're under attack as Americans. This whole country is under attack. And the reason why is very simple. If you don't take down the biggest guy on the block, then you don't have anything yet. And so this new world order, most of the people around the world have no idea what's going on, so they're very easy to knock over. But America has always been on the forefront of intellectual and education and knowledge and technology. So unless you can destroy this base of resistance to tyranny, then you haven't done anything. That's why they are continuing to attack America, because America is the only country left that offers freedom and liberty and justice for all and all of that kind of ideas and thinking. That came out of the Renaissance. And so, yeah, you're right that we are under attack. The point I wanted to make about well, let me first say that this whole thing about the Democratic people falling out of the chairs because of the election. First of all, you need to understand that all communist countries officially are referred to as democratic republics, like the North Korean Democratic Republic of North Korea, the Democratic Republic of Cuba, the Democratic Republic of China. It's always a democratic republic.
Of the Congo.
Of the Congo, exactly. It's all around the world. Any communist country is always a democratic.
They counterfeited our original republic system, but it's a total joke.
Exactly. And this is why in the book Fire in the Minds of Men, James Billington, who is today the chief librarian for the Library of Congress, this is no slouch, chief librarian for the Library of Congress, wrote a book called Fire in the Minds of Men, in which he explained this whole idea of calling things democratic. And it came out of the old 1840s with the Communist Revolution, in 1848, the Communist Movement, etc. So we need to understand that when you use the word democratic today, it does not mean the people's democratic thinking and from the Grecian Empire. We're talking about corporate democracy, which is actually today called communism.
Sure. So we're not talking about a constitutional republic like ours, the first and pretty much only.
Not at all.
We're talking about a democratic republic, which means a Politburo, a secretariat, a totally staged event.
Precisely, and that's exactly why today the communist movement throughout the world is absolutely elated when Obama was made president, because they finally got a full-blown Marxist-Leninist Soviet communist, old-school Soviet communist regime in America. Now, and it said, even the communist publication said, boy, now it's time to really destroy this country big time. Well, that's what happened. And so you've seen, because I've sent you some pictures of the advertisement for Hillary Clinton talking and using communist terms and symbols. And
they even use the classic communist paintings where it shows her face and other faces. I mean, it's the exact same iconography.
Absolutely. So you need to understand that democracy today in America is not a people's democracy where people matter. It's a corporate democracy under world communism. So that's so much for the Communist Party and the Democratic Party in America. But you need to also, in relation to words, if you were, and I'm going to give you an example. If you have a two-story building and you're going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, the first thing you need to do is go downstairs, get on a ladder with a building inspector, and look at the foundation of the floor that you're going to build on to see if it's going to hold that kind of weight. And so what you're doing is you're standing under the foundation that you're going to build on. This is where we get our word understanding, because you're understanding or standing under what you're hearing.
But we never learn the basics of things. We don't recognize classical tyranny when it's in our face.
Exactly, and it's incredible because that's the way we've been taught. We've been taught what to think, not how to think. So, and if you have a large package, for instance, if you have a large package and you want to ship it, you go out in the garage, you get some rope, and you tie up the package, and that's good enough. But if you're going to take that same rope and tie it off on the end of a 10-story building and hang on it, then you better check the integrity of that rope before you go hanging yourself on it. And so that's what I'm saying.
And what is the integrity of what we've seen? Zero. And I want you to get into definitions, which you're the master of, to get people thinking. But just getting into your first point, what do you make of this whole election? Because, I mean, I want to ask you, why do you think I've been allowed to operate? And then now the attacks are getting exponentially more intense. There is clearly a global awakening happening. They're trying to hijack it. But if you look at Brexit, if you look at Italy starting to pull out, Spain starting to break up, Reykjavik, Iceland, what's happening in Brazil, there is a global awakening to all of this. As world governments announced, they never thought that people would listen to you and I, but they did. They did listen to Ron Paul and countless others. But I mean, I know you're a truist. I mean, you'll just tell us what you really think. Not an optimist, not a pessimist. But Jordan Maxwell, you talk about why are the Democrats so angry. I think it's because they now, even at the mid-level, have been let in on the fact that this is a great work, a great takeover, and they fundamentally see it worldwide being destroyed right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You know, and they are involved. This democratic so-called thing is involved in Hollywood. It's involved in all of our institutions because we've allowed it to happen. I mean, we remember talking, many years ago about the Marxist professors in universities, but nobody really knew much about what Marxism was.
It just hit me. It hit me. It's always so thought-provoking when you come on.
Say it again.
It's so thought-provoking. Of course, all the communists call their countries democratic. That's a word cooked up by the Democratic Party, which were the Jacobin side of the whole Illuminati. And it's all right there in history, but no one knows. So break it down. Sorry.
That's exactly right. Let me give you an example of how Hollywood is involved in this. You know, the Emmys that we see on television, which is incredible operation today in America and around the world, television. But the Emmys are presented to the world by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. The first letter in that title is National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, which is NATAS, which is spelled backwards Satan. And when you begin to look at how Hollywood was founded, back in the ancient times, and I've told you this, I think, before, but in ancient times in Europe, there was a civilization in ancient Europe even before the Roman Empire, and it was called Druids. And this is what we're dealing with today in America and around the world, Druidism. And among the Druids, pre-Roman Empire, they're still here today running the world, but among the Druids, there was a magic symbol that was very important to Druidism in Europe, and it was a magic wand. And it's like Merlin the magician with the magic wand, Mickey Mouse with a magic wand. Also, the orchestra conductors use a magic wand to play the music. So magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. And once you understand the symbolism, the words and the terms and how words are used, it's all magic. It's all a very high form of druidic, professionally done magic.
And that's right. They call it lesser magic to hide the name of it. Satan right in front of you. You don't see it. When they see it, it takes them up above you. They believe prophetically, so they have a right to rule you.
Precisely. And that's what I've been saying since 1959 and 60.
By the way, that's in standard, I mean, not the stuff they sell in stores, but real 500-year-old black magic books that, come out of Babylon and Israel. It's all right there. That's what they do.
That's exactly right. This is the very ancient science. That's why today the study of politics is called political science. It's an actual science. And so it's based on the ancient magic, ancient, mystical.
And the
symbols.
low-level stuff is all trash and garbage and false science to control even the upper-level minions. What percentage would you say, because we're kind of reverse engineering this here, what percentage of the actual controllers would you say are full-on what they would call alchemists, wizards, sorcerers?
Myself, I would say 100%, because I see it everywhere. I see it in newspapers, television, magazines.
So you think a large, well, that's what I think 20 years ago was a lower number. So they're actually now moving to the level of actually educating most of their people on what they're doing?
Yes, it's massive worldwide, and that's why people have no idea in the world how big this thing is. And I've been talking about it for many years and trying to get people to listen. You know, there's a very big war, and I mean, you said it best. It's a war for the minds. And when you begin to understand how words are used to manipulate us, incidentally, when you hear people talking about racism, look up the word race in a dictionary. It's the race is a bloodline of animals. The particular kinds of animals are called the dog race, the animal race.
They're getting us to call ourselves animals in the labeling.
Absolutely. So that's why today in the British and American Styles magazine, you will find that the Styles magazine is put out by the government, which has the words that government uses. So if you need to, if you're going to use a word in government, you go to the Styles magazine and see the correct word to use that's being used by the government. Well, if you look up in the Styles magazine, male and female is a word or words that are given to animals. An animal is either a male or a female. A man or a woman is masculine and feminine, not male and female. So therefore, people don't know that. They don't mind calling themselves male or female and having no idea that that means in government terms and in courts, that means you're an animal. And so you need
that goes back again to the fact that we use chattel terms or of bond slaves that goes back to the Middle East and before, where we're taking all of that basically that was expanded into what Roman common law.
That's exactly right. Let me give you another example of how we're being tricked. You know, suppose you were a painting contractor and I call you to paint my office. All right, you come over and check it out, and then you give me an estimate of $100. Now, after you do the job, you come to me, the way it is done in commerce, you give me a bill for $100, okay? I then reach in my pocket and I handed you a $100 bill, and now you're happy because I paid you. No, I did not pay you. I did not pay you. You gave me a bill for $100. I gave you a $100 bill. So now you owe me. Look at what's on the face of it. It's a bank note. And you owe me $100. So I didn't pay you.
That's how they get you out of the regular constitutional money into the whole Federal Reserve system. Because it's all their money and it's all debt-based. That's why the debt always has to go up. No, let's talk about the election.
No doubt about it.
Let's talk about why the Democrats are so mad. I want the truth. You know, I respect you. Your view on Trump, where this is all going, how it's going to unfold. Jordan Maxwell's our guest, a very interesting and informative gentleman. I'm Alex Jones. Infowars.
I kind of like Trump just as a person, as a man. I like his method and I like his presentation to the world. But what's really important here is the word peace, because the communists have always used the word peace. What they're talking about, if you look in their journals and read their books and read the Marxist-Leninist philosophy, peace to them means a cessation of againstness, meaning the stopping of being against something. So when you stop being against something, then we have peace. That's what it means to them. It doesn't mean peace for the world.
It means submission.
It means submission. So when you're being raped, if you're fighting, if you got a gun, that's dangerous. If someone's going to be raped and they're carrying a gun, that could be dangerous. Or if they're fighting you and yelling and screaming, then they're fighting the raping. But if you give up, then that's peace, because nobody's going to fight anymore. So that's what Marxist-Leninism in their very publications say. That's what peace means, to give up and accept Marxist-Leninist communism and the concentration camps and the whole thing.
That's like when Emperor Palpatine is wiping out and killing everybody in episode 3, he says, we're bringing peace.
That's true. Because if you kill all of the people who want to be free, then you're going to have peace. Everybody else is just thrown into prisons and thrown into concentration camps.
And notice that's what the Orthodox system of Islam is. It means you will submit. But the truth is, though, once you submit, the torture, the killing, the enslavement only intensifies, because the real religion that George Orwell exposed, whether it be Islam, whether it be communism, fascism, is a boot stomping on the human face. It's the priest of power and sadism, the Jacobins, 9-day work weeks, the world turned upside down, no technology but in the hands of the elite. I mean, let's break down the false Illuminati's religion. Again, I'm not saying the Illuminati's good or bad. The one we know about in Germany and France, the counterfeit of what our forebears tried, not saying that they were perfect either, but the Great Enlightenment, Francis Bacon, all of that, there wasn't a constituted Illuminati, but it means to bring light to the world. The truth is they claim they're illuminated, but they're saying only they're illuminated because they bring dark to us, correct?
Correct, absolutely. You have to understand the words that are being used and go back to their reference work to see what those words mean. Remember that quote I gave to you before. It says, when freedom, no man is safe when freedom fails. The best men rot in filthy jails, while those who cried, appease, appease, are hung by those they tried to please. This has been the case in every communist country, and the communist overthrow of every country is that, Mao Zedong did it, and it's a classic example. Mao Zedong had people put to death because they were voicing their disrespect for communism and for the People's Democratic Republic of China. Millions of people were put to death by Mao Zedong.
The Chinese estimate 84 million and say it was a mistake. They kind of locked his wife up after he died. Our CIA obviously declassified in 2004 that they actually put him in power. Why did they kill the people that submitted? Why did the Khmer Rouge do that as well? Why kill like Hitler killed the brown shirts that took him to power?
Yeah. Well, because they know that the people who are falling in with them are so stupid that you can't trust them. So if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So therefore, the idea is that the people who willingly go along with you tells the dictator that these people are so stupid, they don't even know what I'm doing. And that's incredible. They're so stupid. So
that's right. And a lot of times these Illuminati people actually take those that were their opposition and try under duress to make them join them. They actually respect us.
Exactly. I have had military people say that to me in person. They have, and I don't want to hurt, and I don't want to cause harm to anyone in the military, but there's the people in the military have come to me and saying, Jordan, we respect what you're doing. We don't like what's going on either. We don't. We know what's going on.
Oh, yeah, the military. Well, why do you think the military, in my experience, is the most awake group?
It's because they're on the front lines. They're the ones that have to go out and put their life in danger, and then hear the president, being a great peacemaker and given the Nobel Peace Prize. And then you come to find out, no, we got like 35 different wars going on for this man who is supposedly a peacemaker. And so the military knows they've been had. And if you don't know that, all the military has to do is read Kiss the Boys Goodbye by Henry Kissinger, the book called Kiss the Boys Goodbye.
He calls them dumb animals.
Dumb animals just to be used for political purposes. They're all a bunch of animals. That's what Henry Kissinger said. And of course, George Bush's mother, Barbara Bush, she said, if you recall, that when they talked about the people being, about our servicemen being killed
She said, quote, on CNN, we've got the clip somewhere. She said, quote, steal your thunders to prove it's a real quote, folks. You can look this up. She said, I don't think anything of their deaths. I don't let that into my beautiful mind.
That's exactly right. She said, why bother me with such nonsense? I don't care about how many people are dead. That's the president's mother, and that's Henry Kissinger. These are the people who are in power.
Think of the arrogance, because she went on to say, you quoted her exactly. She goes, why would I bother and let that into my beautiful mind?
That's exactly right.
She sends people to die, and then she talks about a beautiful mind. It just shows the total disconnect. Like, they get jumbo jets, but then Hillary tells poor people, and Obama says you can't even have a car. That's
right. I just think it's incredible that, if you don't pay your taxes, the IRS will send, even if you go to the Amazon jungles, the IRS will find you and bring you back and make an example out of you because you're not going to escape. However, with that kind of power and that kind of technology, they can't stop the drug wars going on in Pacoima in California because they don't want to. That's the thing.
Let me stop you, Jordan, because I want to raise questions a lot of folks want to ask you when you're on, and if you'll please come back, I want to do a 2-hour special that we tape next week that we then dole out of the show because it's so important. You were talking about government drug dealing 40 years ago. They were having congressional hearings about it 40 years ago, then 20 years ago about cocaine. It's admitted now. They have movies like Sicario that's basically based on a true story. They called it fiction so they wouldn't get sued. That's actually a true story, like word for word, of something that really happened in South Texas. And they admit, yeah, we want it controlled down to 2 cartels from 10. We control the drug trade. Well, that's a fact. Brzezinski's written books admitting that. In fact, the government even runs the key elements of it, the white slavery trade. And Brzezinski wrote about that in Technotronic era back in the 70s. So their argument is we control it by running it. But no, they actually make it bigger. So what's the paradox now that so much of world government and government narcotics trafficking and everything else is now out in the open? What moment have we reached then?
I think we've finally reached a point in our evolution of the human family for thousands of years. We've come to the point now where we're finally at the very end of a critical period in the total evolution of the human race from over thousands of years. Because for the first time, we now have the technology to rip off and rape and destroy human minds, to manipulate nations upon nations. It's an extraordinary war going on between massive tyranny and the protection of individual humans for freedom and liberty and justice. And I'm telling you that the future is not going to be pretty. If you go back and look at what happened in the Second World War, if you look at what happened in Vietnam, all of this is heading towards something that the world will not be able to come back from. If we lose freedom, is if it's lost, it's gone forever as far as I'm concerned. This is the last and final battle on the earth for human dignity and freedom. And the people, like I said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And if people don't now stand up and understand what's going on, we're going to lose the human race.
Sure.
We're not just going to lose America. We're not just going to lose human freedom.
That's right. The globalists now admit, all the top technocracy people from Kurzweil to you name it, say we're going to end humanity. They've been told by their spirit guides, they run Google, we've got to end humanity, be given the big prize. And then, of course, we know that the top illuminist, Arthur C. Clarke, who took the reins of the Thurian socialists, told people in speeches, no, my films, my books are allegories of what's going to happen. But he made the joke, it's more like childhood's end. We have to consciously give our consciousness up to this devil, and then he promises to, like, upload us to a computer. I don't want to do that.
No, but that's precisely what's going on. And that's why I've said, and I talked to you before, this is a worldwide movement. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, you're not. So let me ask you selfish questions here, because I want to get stuff you never get into. I was approached as a teenager by high-level Illuminati, and people can now see, look where we are today, and this is real. They could somehow, you know, through inner space, whatever, tell that I had to be targeted or recruited. It failed. I mean, talk about stuff out of a movie, folks. My whole life's been like a movie, at least since about age 10. And weird stuff before that. I know, reading some other writings, talking to some other folks, you haven't really written about this, talked about this, but I know you weren't a bad guy, but you investigated some of these top societies and groups who are actually given interest into some of the real ones that most folks aren't. I can tell by the stuff you talk about, because I obviously I've been told things most people haven't been told. I mean, can you tell us how deep you got into this?
Oh yes, very, very deep, and it's cost me everything. It's just cost me my life. It's cost me my marriage. It's cost me, you know, it has really taken a toll on me. And the reason why is because there's an old saying: you get what you pay for. If you want a little knowledge, then you pay a little bit. If you want a little bit more knowledge, okay, so you pay a little more. If you want to go to college, well, then you have to pay a lot. But if you want the real story, you're going to pay with your life. If you want the real, actual story about what's going on, if you want to learn a little bit about the underworld and the organized crime, then you can read a couple of books and you'll have a little bit of fun. But if you want to know more about the organized crime,
You got to go into it.
Now you got to go into it a little bit, just a little bit. And then if you really want to know, then join. But once you join, the only way you leave is in a box. And so once you have entered into this kind of knowledge of redesigning human beings, and redesigning the whole world, once you actually commit yourself to this kind of research, you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly.
And let's be clear, you get to a certain point, even though I've always refused to join them or take their money, you learn the knowledge on your own. You're like one of them, even though you didn't want to. It's the knowledge of evil. You can't, it's like, and then when you say you pay with your life, it's not like they're even doing something to you. You're now in it with them, even though you don't want to be. And you see them feeding on the public. You don't want to. The public's coming after you. And it's incredible.
That is precisely what I'm saying. That's exactly the feeling I feel continually. That's why I have such an empathy for you, because I know I have spent my life since 1959 and 60. I was talking about secret societies. That's 56 years ago.
You're probably the original trailblazer of exposing the modern Illuminati occult.
Well, I've been doing it for almost 60 years now, and but you've got to know.
Were you around before Hilder, or you guys were contemporaries?
No, I was out before Hilder, and Hilder came into my life in 1966 when he put out the Illuminati records. I was already in 1962, 63. Even the day John Kennedy was assassinated, I was going down to East Los Angeles to give a lecture on secret societies and world government when I heard on the radio that John Kennedy had been assassinated.
Hilder's a character, isn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, he's done a lot. As a matter of fact, there's more to Anthony Hilder than meets the eye. He has been involved in big motion picture industry. He's very well. I know. You don't have to tell me. Very intelligent boy. He's a very intelligent guy, and he put out the Illuminati records, of which I got back in 1966.
You think Hilder's ever been with an advanced agency?
I have my own opinions, but that's just my opinion. So
yeah, that guy's incredible. We got to get Hilder back on. I just see.
But he is. I've known Anthony for 40 years now, and he's in a remarkable.
He's a piece of work. What he is. All right, really so are you. Yeah, brilliant, both of you. Jordan Maxwell's our guest. We'll give you his website. You need to visit it today. JordanMaxwellShow.com. A treasure of info. We'll be back. Stay with us. This is amazing. I like him on Skype too. It's like he's in the room with us.
He is Bill Mitchell, host of Your Voice Radio, again, widely credited with being one of the top election influencers on Twitter, and the website is yourvoiceradio.com. Bill, welcome back to the show.
Hi, great to see you again.
Bill, let's switch gears a little bit. We talked about hysteria on the left. Let's talk about a little bit of hysteria on the right. We've had people who've supported Trump for, the best part of 18 months suddenly vowing to withdraw their support because they have a knee-jerk reaction to something they don't like.
We elected Donald Trump for his judgment and his instincts, okay? And if these appointments mean that he has bad judgment and bad instincts, that individual appointment will be the least of our problems, okay? But he doesn't. He has great judgment. He has great instincts. Trust the fact that when he is considering these various people, he has more information than you do. In addition, he is looking at each of these people in his cabinet not as an individual piece that has to stand on its own, but as part of a larger picture that will all work together. Trump wants people that have got a track record of winning and succeeding, and I think that that's one of the things that he's looking for in these cabinet picks. So, and he's got a broad spectrum of folks. I think this may be the wealthiest cabinet we've ever had in history, and these people are walking away from very, very lucrative jobs to serve America. Listen, if he makes a cabinet pick you don't like, just go out there and say, yeah, Mr. Trump, I don't like this cabinet pick. Get on Twitter and say, I don't care for this personality, but don't get yourselves into the trap of doubting Trump himself, because what will happen is you'll find out that cabinet pick was great or that he didn't make it at all, and you'll end up having to walk it back and looking like a fool.
And this flouncing on the right, we saw it with Mitt Romney, even though he wasn't selected in the end, which, proves that Trump listened to his base. But even the suggestion of it caused many people to just completely flip out, say they were abandoning the entire Trump train altogether before he even gets into office.
So what exactly are you going to do for the next 4 years? Just sit in the corner and, cry and eat potato chips while we make America great again? I mean, come on. This presidency is bigger than just one cabinet position. It's bigger than just one policy. This is an entire sea change in the way America does business. Just try to remain faithful. Have some belief in the guy. You elected him. Remember why you elected him, and just let's be unified.
Trump had the temerity to say America.
5 minutes the next. Jordan, other little tidbits. What do you make of the global power structure? How are things going for the New World Order?
Well, so far, as long as the people are kept ignorant and ill-informed and can't read and can't think, and universities and schools teach you what to think, but they don't teach you how to think. So unless and until you realize that you need to stand up on your own and start looking at the facts of life, instead of sitting back and watching television and listening to people. It's like Albert Einstein being, I feel like it's like Albert Einstein being taught mathematics by somebody from a mental institution. When you're sitting, you're sitting and watching television, people who are crooked, they are racist, they are mentally deranged in what they're saying, but they're trying to explain to you what's going on. And so I'm
exactly all they do is push race. Like history isn't cool things that happened or bad things that happened or developments of humanity together and how all humans do the same stuff, good, bad, and ugly. It's all, this was racist, this was not mean, this was good, to make you turn into a victim.
Yeah, I've said before, if you were a normal, everyday, average, intelligent person, and you take a vacation, and you go to a city where there's a huge mental asylum, and for the first time you thought you would go visit this mental hospital just to see how things work, and you're walking through, well, everybody in the place is there because they're mentally deranged and they're mentally crippled, whatever, and so, but they are arguing with each other. They're ranting and raving, arguing with each other, but they're used to each other. They're used to doing that. So it's fine with them. But when you come in, they don't like you at all because you don't talk like them, you don't look like them, and nobody knows who you are. So they are really angry with you. That's right.
Political correctness is right out of the Soviet Union, the exact same term. Totally. And it creates basket case lunatics with chips on their shoulders running around bullying everyone.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. And so that's why I want to get this plug in real quick. My research, my
Stay
website.
there. We're going back in 70 seconds, Jordan. We're going right to you. Maxwell. We'll give you his website, jordanmaxwellshow.com. A lot of great information, a lot of great material there. Jordan, tell us about it. And we need to get his mic up. I'm sorry, we've had some microphone problems today with our guest. Go ahead, Jordan.
Now it's better.
Go ahead.
Better?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say that my original website was jordanmaxwell.com, but that is no longer mine. That was taken over by my webmaster. So I have a new website, and I want everyone to know that. That is jordanmaxwellshow.com. And on that website, Jordan Maxwell Show, I have a research website that I've added just recently. It's called the Research Society website. All it is another website in which I am now downloading all of my articles, pictures, audio, videos, stuff on religion, stuff on recommended materials, all kinds. And incidentally, this is important. I have been told by my lawyers that when I talk about certain subjects, I can get cut off, which I have been. You know that. I've been cut off quite a few times off of radio shows because I'm talking about something I'm not supposed to. So I've been told by my lawyers that if you're talking to the public, there are certain things you cannot talk about because you're going to get in trouble. And so but then they told me, but if you go into the private side, then the government has no control over that because government is empowered to protect the people, so to speak. And so this is why I have...
sure, private clubs, because the elite like that, they've always had a special protection, kind of like towns that are dry where you can't drink. Well, there's a private club, you can.
That's right, exactly. And that's what I'm doing. And so that's why I've started the second website called Research Website, which you can join. It's only a $30 one-time lifetime subscription to all of my work, all of the documents and pictures and audios and
very exciting. When we have you back up, we'll get into this in great detail. In closing, what do you make though? I mean, I think this is a real movement against global government. I think it's a human awakening. Obviously, it's got some infiltrators, it's got problems, but I think it's got the elite seriously scared.
I think so too, and I'm amazed how. Truly, I'm amazed how I was talking about this stuff some 56 years ago, and now to see the public finally getting it, finally getting it. I think, wow, it's incredible. Maybe there is hope for the human race if Americans wake up and start doing something with their life instead of just listening to, because there's a great quote that says, "They will find it difficult. They who have accepted the authority as truth rather than the truth as the authority." So if people begin to wake up and find out that the authorities are not telling you the truth, that's why they're empowered to lie to you. That's why people who are manipulating you, we call them con men, because it's involved in a conspiracy. They're con men. They're just laughing at you, mocking you in their news agencies. So you need to wake up. And I'm telling you, I have to also say, Alex, that I totally admire the brave work that you have been doing. I'm just
it's our listeners, and it's the crew. I mean, I'm just
but it's you who have helped give other people the courage to do something and stand up, and I want to admire you for that.
Well, I admire you, Jordan. Let's talk again very soon. Have a great Christmas coming up and holiday, and be safe. And it's good to see you in good health and good spirits and back on your feet after I know you've been through quite a lot of stuff. We won't get into obviously here, but it's good to see you there. And so we'll talk to you again very, very soon, Jordan.
Thank you, and I love to.
All right, thank you. There goes Jordan Maxwell. I'm going to come back and just hit a few final news stories and hand the baton